Hello everybody, this is Christine Nowicki and I am doing this video for the day 8 of the 21-day challenge to quit complaining. Today I wanted to take the time to give you a brief overview of the different phases that you're going to go through with this challenge, and I think it's really going to help you to know what's ahead and to understand better where you are right now. So when you embarked on this journey, you have different phases that you're going to go through. There is 4, or actually some of us could say there is 5. The 5 because there is the very first one. The very first one is when you don't know that you're complaining, you don't know that the challenge exists. Maybe you even say that you don't complain, right? It's the idea, it's kind of the denial phase, okay? The denial phase is I'm not a complainer, you're not aware of the complaining, okay? So that's the denial phase. And then maybe all of you are out of that phase already because you decided to join the challenge. So the first phase, the very first number 1, I would say the denial is the 0. And then the number 1 is when you hear about this 21-day challenge to quit complaining and you get excited. You're like, this could be fun. This is a good way to start the week, to start the month, to start the year. It could actually improve my life. I want to be part of the people who don't complain. I like this idea of joining the tribe of the people who quit complaining. So you get excited, right? You're excited and you think it's going to be fun. And it's kind of the phase where you don't know what you're getting into, right? You're excited and you're not fully aware of what this challenge is going to make you go through. Okay, so phase number 1, excitement, and you don't know what you're getting into. And then the phase 2, and I'm guessing a lot of you are in that phase right now at day 8, is the phase where you realize that actually you're complaining all the time. You've been wearing this bracelet and you've been switching the bracelet from one wrist to the other every time you complain, and you're starting to realize that you're quite a complainer. You know, for me, I always said that if I had seen my own book in the bookstore called I Quit Complaining, I probably would not have bought it because I never considered myself a complainer. I always thought that I was pretty positive, and I was pretty positive. And you know, we all have a complainer around us, whether it's a coworker or it's a parent or it's a spouse. We all have someone who complains all the time, and everybody agrees that this person is a complainer. But I was not that person. I don't think anybody said that Christine complains all the time. But when I wore my bracelet and I started to switch every time, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually complaining all day long. Maybe I'm not loud, maybe it's not super strong, but it's there all the time. It's that subtle layer of complaining that is there all the time that kind of is robbing me from experiencing my own life, right? Because I'm always kind of that victim and playing that game, who's right and who's wrong, and whining. And so even though it's not loud, it's there all the time. So the phase 2 is when you realize that complaining is everywhere. You hear it and you see it in yourself, and you hear it and you see it in everybody around you. And I'm sorry, in that phase, you realize that everybody's complaining around you. Maybe before you did not realize that everybody was complaining, but now you know. And you may have a tendency, by the way, to tell them that they should quit complaining. But my rule was that I could not tell other people to quit complaining until I did, right? And even when I did, I could only share my journey. I could only inspire them. But it doesn't make any sense to tell people they should quit complaining because they have to want it. Do you understand this? That you have to want to quit complaining to be able to quit complaining? Right? So the second phase is when it's like the bracelet is dancing from one side to the other. Some people told me that their bracelet broke in that phase because they were switching so often. Okay? So, and it's kind of the phase where the most people give up. They give up because they're like, you know what? I have other things to do. My life is already complaining, and now they're complaining about the fact that they're complaining. And, you know, maybe you feel that you don't need that, and so you quit. Right? So this is the phase, I need you to know, this is the phase where you are right now probably, where the most people quit. But wait a little bit, because then you have phase 3. And phase 3 is already amazing. Phase 3 is when you're able to do maybe an hour without complaining. I remember very clearly the first day that I was able to not complain between the time I woke up and the time I dropped off my kids to school. This was a revelation. This was amazing. This was so different than in the past. You know, in the past 5 years, I've been resisting and going through that morning routine. And that first time that I was able to deal with everything that was going on without complaining, I realized how better it was. I realized how this was how I want things to be every day. This is how I want to deal with what's happening through my day all day long, right? So I could already reap the benefit of the challenge. And maybe you spend an hour without complaining, maybe you spend an evening without complaining, maybe you spend an entire meeting without complaining, maybe you spend a day without complaining, or maybe 2 days or 3 days. But it's the phase where maybe you fail again and you have to start over. But a lot of people told me, you know, when I'm in that phase, I know I'm never going to go back. I know that I've seen and I've experienced how better my life is when I am able to not complain. So now it's just a matter of training my brain to go in that mode more often and to find other resources to deal with frustrations. And so it's going to take a while to reach 21 consecutive days, but you don't want to quit anymore because you know it's better and you're already reaping the benefit because you already have a better life, okay? Maybe you still complain in some area, but you already have a better life. So that's phase 3. And then phase 4 is when you finally succeeded to do 21 consecutive days without complaining. And what does it mean is that now you're the master. Now you don't even have to think about not complaining, right? You don't even have to think about it. Maybe in the phase before, you know, maybe you reach 3 days, 5 days, maybe 19 days, right? And you're like, oh my God, I need to control, I need to be very careful because you don't want to switch again and start over, right? So you're really working at it. You're working and working to really try to train your brain to find other ways to deal with frustration. So that's the phase 3. But the phase 4, it's done. Your brain knows. Your brain knows that complaining is a no way. Your brain knows that it's getting you nowhere, right? So your brain doesn't go there because it knows that it's getting you nowhere, but your brain is going to go to all the other options that you have to deal with frustration. So that's the last phase, and it's the phase where you have created for yourself a new nature, right? And so that's what I wish for you. Just so you know, there is very few people who go all the way to the 21 days. I deeply hope that some of you will, because I know how much it transformed my life. But I also know that a lot of people stop at phase 3 and it already changed their lives, okay? It's not the full transformation, but it's already a huge transformation, okay? So I wanted to give you the heads up and kind of give you an overview. I hope it helps you, and we will continue with the next video tomorrow. Bye-bye.